And welcome back to Inside City Hall. Albany lawmakers have passed a bill which would place strict limits on the type of information the NYPD is able to keep in a database compiled through its controversial stop and frisk tactic. Governor Patterson has until Saturday to decide whether he'll sign or veto the legislation. And here now to discuss the issue are two of the sponsors of the bill, State Senator Eric Adams and Assemblyman Hakeem Jeffries. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
What are you hoping the governor will do and why? Senator, you want to start?
I think the first thing that the public needs to understand that the legislation that Assemblyman Jeffries and I are hoping the governor will sign has nothing to do with harming public safety and has nothing to do with removing an effective tool called stop and frisk. This is a tool that a police officer uses whenever he has suspicion that someone is doing something wrong. That's an effective tool. I use it as a captain when I was a police officer, and I just expanded the right of Tribal Bridge and Tunnel peace officers that they also can use that. Before they weren't able to use that. Our bill merely states that when you stop an innocent American on the streets, you determine they did nothing wrong at all, you should not keep their information in a police file. That's what our bill is stating. And we believe that the police department should not keep records of innocent Americans anywhere in this country, particularly in the largest police department in the country. Right,
and I appreciate you backing up to square one to explain this to our viewers. And let's take it back even a little bit further, Assemblyman. The stop and frisk database is what? It's a compilation of people who were just stopped and frisked but not arrested?
Absolutely. Each year for several of the past years, more than 500,000 New Yorkers have been stopped, questioned, frisked, searched, and in many instances dehumanized on the streets of New York City. And according to the NYPD's own data, approximately 90% of those individuals did nothing wrong. No arrest, no summons, no gun, no drugs, no contraband found.
90%?
90%.
Okay, but they're included with the 10% who then were arrested.
Absolutely. So what has been happening is that the NYPD has been taking the personal information of each and every one of these individuals, name, address, possibly social security number, and transmitting it into an electronic database that they have been maintaining in perpetuity. And so as a result, what we have is between 1 million and 2 million innocent, law-abiding New Yorkers who are in this database and subjected to the possibility of permanent criminal supervision and suspicion.
It's a private database being used by the police department.
Absolutely. It's a private database maintained by the police department.
And what do we know, if anything, about the racial or socioeconomic status or profile of these 1 to 2 million people on the database? Okay. You say database, I say database. We're just
tomatoes, tomatoes.
Tomatoes, tomatoes.
And I think that we need to, there's one correction that we need to do. The police department states that they're using it just for their records. We don't know that information is shared with other agencies, other law enforcement agencies, or any other. Right now, there are no legislative restrictions to tell them who they can share it with. And Peter Vallone, from the public safety chair of the city council, attempted to write a letter to the police department and get better information. They weren't able to get that information. Over 85% of those who were stopped and is in this database are African American and Hispanic. The police department is following this logic. If John the robber lives in Brownsville and he commits a robbery, then every African American in that community is subject to be stopped, questioned, and frisked and put into this database because one day they may turn out to be a robber. That's unfortunate. We don't want to handcuff the police, but we don't want to handcuff innocent children. And this is not a police state. This is the United States. We don't keep police records on innocent Americans in the United States.
But the police department does say, and Ray Kelly was on our show just this week, they maintain that they use this database to help them solve other crimes. I think the number is that the database has been linked to the solving of 170 other crimes. It's reduced the murder rate. Am I making a leap there?
In America, we
Wait, tell me, I need to know why that's so funny.
Because, because for him to state that the database is the reason for the drop in crime, that's not true. The decrease in crime started under his first tenure under Mayor Dinkins. Commissioner Bratton introduced a quality of life broken window. We continue. So the methodology of decreasing crime was based on the effective tools that were introduced. This is not one of those tools that brought down homicides and brought down robberies. That is not real. And this is an important.
But it sounds like, you know, Mayor Giuliani got a lot of flack for using a tool similar to that. The squeegee guys. You remember the poor squeegee guys who
Exactly.
we cracked down
Well, let me
on?
address the effectiveness of the database.
How is this any different from that?
Well, I think, first of all, when you're thinking about the database and the fact that the commissioner is alleging that the information has been helpful in solving possibly 170 crimes over the last 18 months. Let's put that into context. According to the NYPD's own data, there have been approximately 156,000 major crimes committed in the city of New York during that same time period. And so to suggest that this is an effective crime-fighting tool, when even if we accept his argument, it's only been useful in possibly 170 crimes, is infinitesimal. And when you think about that fact, I'm no mathematician, but I believe that's less than 0.1% of the overall crimes during that time period. That does not demonstrate to Senator Adams, to myself, and hopefully to the governor that this is an effective crime-fighting technique.
So is the main criticism of this database and the keeping of this database, is it of a racial nature, or is it of a, you talk about segregating innocent Americans in this database that could be mishandled or misused? I mean, what is your main complaint?
That's an excellent question, because it's a two-part question. Every police agency across the globe would love to have the personal information of all citizens in their confines, their geographical confines. Every police. If I was Commissioner Kelly, I would want to have the DNA, the fingerprints, social security number, because then it's easy to solve crimes if you know all the information about all the citizens. And that's fine in other countries, but that's not what we do in America. So we have to balance between police, public protection and policies and public safety, and civil and human rights, because that's what our country stands for. We're the ones that must tell police departments when they've gone too far.